Hello and welcome back to another video on Unpacked Technologies. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about WWDC, which is coming up in around 24 hours time, which is super exciting, and how to watch and also what some of the leaks are and maybe what you should expect and not expect from this event. So this is a bit of an exciting video, so let's get straight into it. Alright, so to start off, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to watch the event. Now, this is Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. That's what WWDC stands for. And they do this at around June every year, around early June. And this is when they release all the new software for all their Apple devices, including for all the ones you see here. And they also occasionally announce some new hardware. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But first of all, let me explain how you can watch the event. Now, you can either watch it on your mobile device or your computer. And I'm going to start off by showing how you can watch it on your phones or iPad. So what you can do is go to your web browser. In this case, I'm using Safari. And then open up the Apple website. So just apple.com, or you can go for your region. So I'm in Australia. So it says here on the top of the page, it says WWDC 22. Watch online on June 7 at 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, if I go to Apple's American website, which is just apple.com, you'll see here that the event is starting on Monday, June 6 at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. So then if we go learn more here, you'll see that it says watch June 6 at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. View online at apple.com or on the Apple TV app. So you can watch it here on apple.com, or alternatively, you can also use the Apple TV app that you see here. So give it a moment to load, and you can see that you could use the Apple TV app as well when it goes live. Now, you can also add it to your calendar and share some of the links on your social media, and also copy the link with the little chain. Now, if you scroll down, you can see they've also got some of their past events if you would like to view those. Now, another way that you can watch the event is by going to Apple on YouTube. So if we go to YouTube here and you search for Apple, or in this case, I actually had to search for Apple Official. So the YouTube channel came up. For some reason, it wasn't showing up with just Apple alone. But then what you can do is you can click on their YouTube channel and you can see that they've got their June 6 live event ready to go. So it's actually scheduled for the time, and you can see that it's actually ready to go. It says live in 2 days, but by the time this video is published, it'll probably be around 1 or less days to the event. So that's how you can watch it on YouTube as well. Now, another thing that's good to have for the WWDC event is the Apple Developer app. Now, this will allow you to see all the details about WWDC and also some of the highlights and what they've announced. So what you can do is, if you don't already have the Apple Developer app, go to the App Store and then search for Developer in the search bar, and then click on Apple Developer and then download it onto your device. Then once you have it downloaded, you can just click open, and it will open the developer app like so. So this has all the featured stuff at the front, including some of last year's WWDC highlights. And then if you look down the bottom, you can see there's a little WWDC tab. If we just click on that, it will take you to the WWDC homepage. And here it says Code 1, Code All. Join developers worldwide from June 6 to 10 for an inspiring week of technology and community. And it goes through a little bit of a description of the event itself, the keynote and platform State of the Union, and you can see when the keynote is, once again, June 6, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Now, that's pretty much how you can find out all the information about WWDC and what's happening. And of course, if the event is too early for you in your local time zone, or too late, or if it just doesn't suit the time it comes, you can always watch it on playback after the event has happened as well. All right, so now that you can see how to view the Apple Developer Conference on your iPhone or iPad or other mobile device, I'm now going to switch to a screen recording where I'm going to demonstrate how to do it on your Mac or PC computers, because I know many people will be watching it on there. So I'll switch over to that now so I can show you how to do that. All right, so now that we're on the screen recording, I can now show you how to watch WWDC if you're on a PC or Mac. Now, the first part, I'm going to show you how to do it for your web browser, which will work on both PC and Mac. But if you're on a Mac, there's also a second stage that I can show you that goes through the App Store, but I'll get to that in a little bit later. So what you can do is go to your web browser. In this case, I'm using Safari. And then what you can do is go to Apple's website. So that's just apple.com. And then here we can go, you can switch it to your local region if you would like. And then here it says WWDC 22. And for me in Australia, living in Sydney, that falls at 3 a.m. on the 7th of June. But for everyone else, if I go back to the US site, it's Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So what we can do is in this section here, the website, we can go learn more. And then if I just make this full screen here, quickly, then you can see here it says watch online at apple.com or on the Apple TV app. So that is another option. You can use the Apple TV app if you're on a Mac. This won't work on Windows, but you can go into Apple TV here and then watch it through the Mac. If you go to something like WWDC here, you can then see that they have put their WWDC keynotes here from previous years. So this is another way you can watch WWDC. Now, if we scroll down a bit here, you can see it then shows you some of the previous Apple events that you can watch. And that's about it. So what you can do is you can add it to your calendar if you would like. And then it downloads a calendar event that you can just add in to your calendar here. Just click enter. And there you go. You can see it has been added to the calendar. So that's how you can watch their live stream on the web browser. That is probably one of the easier ways to do it. Another way you can do it is actually go to youtube.com, and they've got their I don't sign into YouTube on this, so there might be some strange results here, but if I go to Apple here, search, you can see if I click on Apple, they've actually got their WWDC 22 June 6th event actually ready to go. So they've set it live for 2 days, or probably be less than a day by the time this video is released. But there you go. You can see that is their featured video there. So you can always go there and see it if you would like to watch it through YouTube. Now, one final way that you can do it on the Mac is through the Apple Developer app on the App Store. This won't work on PCs, unfortunately, but if you're on a Mac, what you can do is go to the App Store and then search Developer. And then here you've got the Apple Developer app. So if we go into Apple Developer here, you can see that this is their developer app. They've updated it to say, get ready for WWDC. Get ready to join us online starting June 6th, or depending on where your time zone is. But what you can then do is click Get here, and then click Install, and it will prompt you for an Apple ID, which I'll need to sign in, and then I'll come back in a moment once I've signed in here. Alright, so then once you've signed into your Apple ID, you can see it will download the Apple Developer app, and you can see there that was very quick. And then now all you need to click is click Open. We can close out the App Store now, and then it will ask to send app usage. You can decide to send analytics to Apple or not. I'm just going to click automatically send for now, but you can decide whether to send that or not. Now, on the home screen here, there's a few different options. They've got all their sort of featured and recently published stuff here, which is quite nice. But what we want to do is go to the left-hand bar here, and then under Discover, it says WWDC. So if you click that, I'll make this full screen here, and it says Code 1, Code All. So it just does a bit of a explanation of WWDC here,
And you can see it says the keynote starts at June 6, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And yeah, it's got all the information here. And then within this app, you've got all your details about the event, and then you'll have some highlights come up as the event goes on, and you can watch little snippets of the videos, just like what they did for WWDC 2021, where you can see they have all their highlights of that event there. So yeah, they're free, quick and easy methods on how you can watch WWDC on your Mac, and also some of them work on PC as well, which is good. And now back to the video where I'm going to show you more about the event.
So that's how you can view the online event. And now let's talk about what the event actually may entail as well. So this year they've actually, for the first time in 2 years, they've actually got some developers coming on site to watch the keynote. It won't be like the previous in-person events. It'll sort of be like a hybrid where they go into a room and watch sort of the live stream as well. But that does make me think a little bit that there might be some hardware, although nothing is confirmed at the moment. But first, let's talk about what is definitely coming in, that is the software. Each year at these developer conferences, they always have new software that comes out. So that includes the new iOS, which runs on all iPhones. It's got iPadOS, which runs on the iPads, and then you've got macOS for the Mac, watchOS for the Apple Watch, and tvOS for the Apple TV, as well as HomePodOS for the HomePod. Now, all of these get updated to a new version each year, with the betas coming out just after the event, and then the official releases coming out sometime in September. So let's start by talking about iOS 16, which is the next version of iOS. So we'll start off with supported devices. So unfortunately this year, it does look like the iPhone 6S may no longer be supported by iOS. So this has had a very long run of iOS support. This is actually on its, I think, 6th year of iOS support, but it looks like it now might be on the way out. But that's unheard of to have that much support for a phone in this industry. So that's very good. And that was a very good investment if you've bought one of these. So that means that it looks like the iPhone SE first generation, iPhone 6S, and iPhone 6S Plus will all be dropped from support, meaning that the iPhone 7 from 2016 will be the minimum supported device for iOS 16. So now let's talk about some of the rumoured iOS 16 features. Now, there's not a huge amount of details that we've got at the moment. That's typical with software because it's easier for Apple to lock it down when compared to hardware because it's not actually getting manufactured or anything. But in terms of some of the things we have heard some speculations about, we might get some redesigned apps. Some of the things like Apple Music and things like that are sort of in need of a bit of a redesign, in my opinion. They're not the easiest to navigate, and I would like it if they could get a redesign. We have heard that some of the apps may be getting redesigns, although it's important to note that that's not confirmed. And then there's also possibly a new lock screen coming. So when you lock your device, this lock screen has been very similar for a while now. You've had your torch and your camera access, but other than that, everything has pretty much been the same. And you can just see your notifications, access the control center, and things like that. But eventually it'd be great if we could have some more things on the lock screen, such as possibly interactive widgets and other things like that. That would really enhance the iOS experience. So at this point, we don't know many other details about iOS 16, so it'll be a bit of a surprise for us, and I'm hoping there's some nice big changes. That would be really exciting. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is iPadOS. So iPadOS 16 is the next version of Apple's iPad operating system, and at the moment iPads, I've sort of lost a bit of interest in iPads just because the iPadOS software just seems quite limiting for the hardware they have. This is actually an iPad Air 2, so it's the oldest device, and that leads me on to supported devices. This is actually 7 years old, this device. It came out in 2014. And once again, that's unheard of to have support this long. But unfortunately, this year, it looks like the iPad might be on the way out for software support. So the iPad Air 2 will be on the chopping blocks, as well as a few other models. But what we have heard a little bit. I'm not necessarily trusting that this is actually going to happen, because we have heard similar things before and it hasn't actually happened. But we may actually we'll definitely get everything that comes with iOS. Plus, we may actually get some new multitasking features. So at the moment, multitasking is quite clunky. Where you have to go into apps and then there's like 3 dots at the top, and you can only have around 2 apps in split view and then 1 as a slide over. It's quite limiting, but there are some reports that there possibly will be a more macOS-like interface where you can drag windows wherever you want and resize them and more, and I'd really welcome that decision. Now, that's all we've really heard from iPadOS at this stage, so once again, I really quite enjoy surprises, so we could be in for quite an exciting event. Now, in terms of macOS 13, macOS 13 will be the latest version, and there is some speculation that it will be called macOS Mammoth. Now, in terms of supported devices, we don't have a huge amount of information about supported devices at this stage, but there is a chance that some of the 2014 and 2015 Mac devices may be on the chopping blocks, because they do seem to be cutting down the supported Macs quite quickly at the moment as they transition through to Apple Silicon. Although I would not expect them to cut support for all Intel Macs at this point. Now, similar to iOS and iPadOS, we haven't heard a huge amount, but we are hearing that there could be some pretty significant redesigns to some of the apps. And a notable one is actually the settings page. There's been some reports that we may actually get a redesigned settings page to mimic one similar to the one on iOS, where it's sort of like a list of options here and then you can go through them like so. That sounds like it is maybe coming on macOS 13 Mammoth. But other than that, we haven't heard a huge amount at this stage. So that'll be exciting to see what comes with macOS. Now, watchOS also sounds like there's coming with some pretty significant updates here. We're looking at some more health features, as well as a possible new layout to replace this sort of icon layout here. I actually don't mind this. I find it okay, but I know some people find it a little bit difficult to navigate. So that comes along with some possible new layouts for some of the apps and things like that. So that would be welcome. I don't find it too hard to navigate, but there are some things that are a little bit clunky, and I'd welcome some changes with that. And in terms of supported devices, I would expect the same supported devices as watchOS 8. As they are still selling the Series 3, I think that will definitely still be on the supported device list because they are still selling that brand new. So I would expect the same devices that support watchOS 8 to also support watchOS 9. So now comes to the exciting part. We are hearing that there is some potential new hardware coming at WWDC. Now, once again, none of this is confirmed. However, there's some reports that there might be a new M2 MacBook Air coming out. So this would replace the M1 MacBook Air that came out in November 2020, and it would be with the new M2 architecture. So this is an all-new chip. They did say at their last event there would be no more M1 chips available. No more M1 chips that are getting made brand new. So there is a fair chance that we get this new M2 MacBook Air. It sounds like it's going to be quite colourful with a new thin and light design, with potentially the return of MagSafe with some USB-C ports. Now, this is a 2015 MacBook Pro here, but I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. Now, another thing that alludes to that possibly happening is because we are starting to see that some of the M1 MacBook Air supply is actually dropping. So on Apple's website, in some areas, we are seeing that while most of their Macs are all available at the ready, and also their other devices like iPhones and iPads, the M1 MacBook Air is all of a sudden starting to slip in order shipment dates. So usually when this happens, it does allude to a new release. So That's also some interesting things that we can look at to maybe suspect that this new MacBook Air is coming. So I'd really welcome that new MacBook Air to come because it sounds really exciting to me. Now, in terms of some other WWDC news, there's potentially a new Mac Pro unveil or sneak preview with the new Apple Silicon Pro chips. This would be the most Pro chips that we've gotten. At the moment, the fastest chips that we've gotten is the M1 Max and M1 Ultra in the Mac Studio. So this would be even a step up from that to replace the 2019 Intel Mac Pro with the Intel Xeon chips. However, I wouldn't necessarily expect that. There's some rumors that that might be announced, but there's no concrete evidence. And also just some other news about hardware. It doesn't look like the AR VR headset is likely at this event. I know that might be disappointing to some, but it doesn't sound like the actual hardware or the RealityOS software is actually ready to come out according to some reliable sources. So I wouldn't expect that at this event. And yeah, that about wraps up all the WWDC news. I'm really looking forward to the event. It's really exciting and it's definitely worth tuning into. But once again, if you can't tune into it live, you can always watch it later and see the site refreshes on Apple's website, which is always really exciting to see. So let me know in the comments below what you're looking most forward to from WWDC 2022 and whether there's any things you're hoping to see in terms of hardware or software or a bit of both. Hopefully this was helpful and gave you some good insights as to what to expect and what not to expect at WWDC, as well as a good idea on how to watch the event. Thanks for watching this video on Unpacked Technologies. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.